how can anyone fix anything if they don't really address it? And that, my friends, is my agenda. Not to ruffle feathers or to be disrespectful to the USA or any country or any culture or any person. I either share facts or I share my experiences, such as what I did today by sharing my story and my version of the great American dream. Welcome back to Jay Stephan. If you are new here, I am Jay and my other half is Stephan, and together we are Jay Stephan. For half of the year we live in Germany and the other half we live here in California. Today I'm reporting to you guys here from sunny Southern California. It's evening, the sun is setting, and I am right now in the desert, and it's absolutely beautiful. That's the San Jacinto Mountains behind me, and that is the desert valley behind me here. Today I want to talk to you guys about the American dream. I think for a lot of Americans right now, the way things have been in the past few years, it seems like the American dream is dead. But I personally don't think the American dream is dead. I think the American dream is displaced, and I'll explain why. And also, I would like to share a story with you guys, which I think will resonate with, I'm hoping with a lot of the people. And if not, then it's be just entertaining. But through this story, I would like to share my view on what the American dream is, because to a certain degree, I do believe that a lot of people have their own interpretation of the American dream. First, let's define what is the American dream. I think these days, if you ask anyone really, people will pretty much tell you their interpretation of American dream is that anyone can make it in the United States. Anyone that comes to America, they can start from the bottom and make it all the way up to the top. Anyone can become a millionaire, a billionaire. If you work hard enough, you have the opportunity to succeed in this country. And yes, partly that is true, but for me, there is an issue with that definition, because we've put a monetary value on the American dream, and the American dream isn't really about monetary value. It's so much bigger than that, and that's what I wanted to discuss today. I'd like to start off with a story. So my father moved from India to the United States right after he finished high school in 1961. So I think it was very brave for him to come to the United States, not knowing the language and not really knowing anyone here. So he landed in California and he went to Redding for his undergraduate. It was all the way up north in California. So he went to college and started his undergraduate degree. And while going to college, he was working in the fields. I believe he was picking grapes. And that's how he was able to sustain himself and support his education as well. After he finished his undergraduate, he applied for his master's program at California Polytechnic University in San Luis Obispo. He got accepted, and by now he had learned how to speak English fluently, and he did fairly well in college. And then at the university, while he started there, they offered him a position to teach the undergraduate class. So while at Cal Poly, he started teaching the undergraduate class, and life became very good for him, and the university was very good to him. He finished his first master's degree in agriculture engineering, and then he moved on to apply for his second master's program, and he got accepted as well in the same university, and that was for chemical engineering. And while doing this, he continued to teach the undergraduate class. He made new friends, and he basically had a brand new life here, which he loved very much. When he first came to US, he was wearing a turban, and by now he had set aside his turban, and he wanted to assimilate into the American culture fully. So his choice was to let go of his turban, but not let go of his religion. And he picked up a surfboard and he took up surfing. So on the weekends he would go surfing at Zuma Beach, I believe, and Pismo Beach. So that was his life, far away from the life that he had in India. I'm not saying that the life that he had in India was bad, but it was just very different. And the opportunities that this country gave him, he would not have had in India. And at the same time, though, he also created these opportunities himself because he was given the opportunity to create those opportunities. I don't know if that makes sense. And then in 1966, he was awarded an exemplary citizen of San Luis Obispo, the city of San Luis Obispo. And in 1967, again, he was awarded an exemplary honorary citizen of San Luis Obispo. He went on to achieve many other awards within his university, within his field, and within his community. And with all these stories that he shared, I fell in love with this country without even living in this country, because I was not born in USA, and I was raised in India until I was 8. But I remember I was so in love with USA because of the stories that he used to share. Then came the time my parents decided to move back to the United States. And I still recall my first day in the United States because of the love that I had created for this country. My first waking moment, my first morning here, I absolutely felt like I was home. It felt so comfortable to be here because all my younger years, all the stories that I ever heard from my father, I kind of lived in those dreams, I guess. I lived in those stories. And he was so detail-oriented with those stories, and he was so magical with those stories. And everything that he said was exactly how I felt. How he explained is what I saw my first day here in the United States. But when my dad came back to the United States, it was really nice for me. But for him, he had already recognized that the American dream that he had lived while he was a student here and while he worked here in his younger years, that was broken. This was in the mid-80s, and it wasn't the same anymore. He was continually racially profiled, and I still remember as a kid seeing my dad being called names because now he wore a turban again. Before, he was respected for his turban because he was different and they embraced him. Now, people everywhere he went, whether it was grocery shopping or just take a walk down the street in the park, people would yell and call him a terrorist, tell him to go ride a camel. You name it, I've heard it and I've seen it. But he didn't let that affect me in my hopes and dreams of achieving what he had achieved. And I did. I moved forward, and I never let the negativity affect me in hating this country or hating a specific race. I still loved it, and it's all because of my dad. All what he taught me, and it's everything that this country gave him back in the 60s. That was the real American dream. But I'm hoping soon we will get there again. And this displaced American dream will once again be the great American dream. The American dream that anyone can come here and is treated equally. Anyone that comes here from any background, from any country, from any religion, from any social status, all of that is just like a blank state. You start without all those socioeconomic baggage, and then you build yourself up. You build your community. You give to the community, and the community gives back to you. And you get recognized for it. It's not all about money and monetary gains. It's about education. It's about opening up your mind. It's about your livelihood. It's about your neighbor. It's about your country and the world. And I think that's where things became a little bit displaced in this country in the past few years, because the American dream, for some reason, became tied to a monetary value, a white picket fence. You have a family, you have a dog, you own a house, and you have a mortgage, and you have a job to pay for the mortgage. But it is so much bigger than that. In 1931, James Adams, because of the Great Depression, he kind of redefined the American dream. And his definition of the American dream is of a better, richer, and happier life for all citizens of every rank. And by richer, he didn't mean monetary value. He meant spiritually richer. And then in 1963, Martin Luther King revisited the American dream. And his words, they've continued to resonate with so many.
I have a dream this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Because I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
But by the content of their character. Now that is beautiful, and that is the true American dream. The way I see it, the US has come across a bump. It's lasted for a few years, and maybe it'll last for a few more years. So to answer some of the questions that I received in the comments, why do I continue to live in the United States if I don't like it? I do love it here. I never said I didn't like it. I think it's healthy to point out the things that bother you about your own country. I think it's healthy to recognize those things that are not working, because without recognizing the faults, how can we fix it? How can we fix our society? How can anyone fix anything if they don't really address it? And that, my friends, is my agenda. Not to ruffle feathers or to be disrespectful to the USA or any country or any culture or any person. I either share facts or I share my experiences, such as what I did today, by sharing my story and my version of the great American dream. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and continue walking and find Stefan. He's around here somewhere. And yeah, then we're gonna go home. And I will see you guys in the next video. There is Stefan.